Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online YouTube fitness community. Today's topic probably isn't just about fitness YouTube, it's pretty much about everybody in YouTube, everyone who's a content creator. But the YouTube fitness people, a lot of people had talked about this also. There were actually fitness YouTubers up who were asking for donations because this whole YouTube apocalypse where people were reporting anywhere between 40 and 90% loss of their income off of YouTube. A lot of people were hurting, and it's because there's a lot of people who got really big on YouTube really quick, started making really decent money, bought into a lifestyle they couldn't afford, and then they had trouble. But the thing is, what's always interesting is that you see people who do that, who get into YouTube, and then you see others who are more conservative with it. Like Chris Jones, for example, I know for a fact through the conversations I've had with Chris over the years that he's very, very careful with his money. He always assumes that YouTube could go bust on him. Yeah, he's made well over six figures for a long time, but he lives below his means. Like what Chris makes versus the lifestyle that Chris Jones lives, he lives below his means. And then he invests his money, his extra money. He's not necessarily squandering it the way a lot of people are out there doing it. Or people who are like, oh yeah, man, I'm making $4,000 a month on YouTube. I'm going to go invest in a house based upon that income, and then they get hit, and all of a sudden their mortgage is going to get really expensive because they're squandering all their money. And it's been a really big deal. There have been people doing different things. People have started Patreons. People have started GoFundMes. People have opened donation pages. And it's interesting because for me, I've had a lot of my trolls come out, and they're like throwing rumors at me and estimating that I'm making like $800 a month or whatever off of YouTube. And a lot of people don't know because they'll be like, what do you do for a living? Like, YouTube is my living. I'm not saying I don't have other skills. I'm not saying I couldn't go do other things. Absolutely could. And yes, I occasionally do side projects. I do side projects and make other money on the side in different ways. But yeah, YouTube is my biggest gig. And I love it because I'm able to do things that I love, things that I enjoy, and make a living doing it. Because I run more than one channel. Some people don't know that, but I do run more than one channel. And because everything that I do for fun and for hobbies has become my business, everything that I enjoy doing has become my business. And it's all become tax deductible too. And it's a beautiful thing. But it's not for everyone. And the thing is, like me and like a lot of other people, we live below our means. Again, people always speculate at what I make on YouTube, and it's funny because the people who hate me really, really lowball it, and that's okay. They can believe what they want. I gave evidence for that debate that Lane Norton wanted to do. I gave evidence on here that would stand in a court of law that in 1 month I made $4,226 off YouTube ads alone. That was my revenue for that month. The proof I had would stand in a court of law. But of course, Lane Norton completely backed out of that debate. And it's really funny because he agreed to my terms, even agreed to the type of proof. He put forward what he wanted as proof. I obtained that proof, and it was proof that would stand in a court of law. And the guy basically jumped up and says that's not good enough. And he backed out. He completely backed out of this debate that he tried to force me into, tried to strong arm me into. Agrees to my terms, and I agree to all his terms. Then he backs out. But the funny thing is, the entire time the guy was posted all over my wall that I was a coward if I didn't do the debate. And then he backs out of it and refuses to pay the money because it's more money than he thought it would be, but he had agreed to it and claiming I lied. And there are people making videos claiming that I committed fraud. No, that's really what I made. That's why it's hilarious. That was what I made that month. That's what I made on YouTube. It is what it is. But the thing is, I live below my means. You know what, guys? I set up my monthly budget and my lifestyle to assume I'm going to make a certain amount of money in a worst case scenario. And you know what? And everything that I make beyond that goes into either some sort of savings, some sort of investment, or I buy things that I really want. But I always budget my life. I budget, my living expenses, my car note, my car insurance, everything in my life. I budget it around the fact that I might have a really, really, really bad month sometime on YouTube. And you know what? Because I budgeted it that way, I wasn't hurting during this whole YouTube apocalypse. You know what? I made enough money during all of it to pay all my bills. Like, I made enough off of it, even with everyone hurting for ads, to cover my bills without dipping into my savings. I didn't have to dip into anything to do it. And so therefore, I didn't have to start anything else to jump up and ask for money to support my lifestyle, because I live a reasonably modest life. I live a lifestyle to where I keep my basic living expenses at around $2,000. So if I have a really bad month, which, you know, $2,000 is a bad month for me on YouTube. Yes, I did have a $2,000 month in the middle of all of this, but you know what? That just means I didn't get to buy any more AR-15s or build any guns or go do anything really extravagant. That's all that meant. So what? Live within your means. And that's the interesting thing. You know, YouTube is one of those things where a lot of people have made a lot of money really, really quickly. And, you know, they don't know how to live within their means because they've never had to manage money. They've never had to budget money. And, you know, they assume that that money is always going to be there with what they're doing. And the reality is you do have to diversify a bit. And in fact, I've already realized with some of that, yeah, I'm going to diversify a little bit to diversify my income so that my internet income isn't purely based on YouTube. But a lot of people started a Patreon, and I look at that. I might do that because it lets me diversify, not just diversify income, but it lets me do things that I can't do on YouTube. You know, people always ask for things like gear talk. Why don't you do gear talk? Well, because YouTube monetizes it. If I'm going to put the work in, I'd at least like to make my money for it. So I might do a Patreon, and part of the Patreon might be the gear talk. I'm looking into it now so that I can diversify that stuff. I might mess with some merchandising later, but it's not like a high priority for me at the moment to get into shirts and mugs and all that stuff. Maybe just to diversify. But I certainly don't want to jump in and start selling products I don't believe in, like a lot of people do on here, get endorsed by these supplement companies. I really don't want to do that. It's just, I'm not interested in it. But, you know, people did ask and all of that, hey, how can we donate to you? Well, I haven't really set up a donation page, and I appreciate that. But if people want to donate, my firearm and political channel has a donate button, but this channel doesn't have one. And if people wanted to donate, they could go there. Or if you guys wanted to donate, I have an Amazon affiliate link on this page. If you just click on that and you go buy the things that you wanted to buy anyways, I get a percentage. Like, I get a little bit of a kickback. So you know what? Rather than me say people who want to give me money for something, well, maybe when we get the Patreon going, but I don't want to just take money from people and not give something that they want back. Because I already get paid for YouTube. I get paid for the commercials. I get paid for this already. You know, I'm already making my money doing it. So it's like if I do something, I want someone to get something else out of it besides what I already do. So, I mean, if they wanted to use my Amazon link, you're at least buying something you wanted to buy. Then if you're donating, it's not like you're just giving your money away. Or the same thing with if I do a Patreon, I'm providing a service with that. And again, that's totally better. That's better than just getting free money because I'm giving something back. And I like that a lot more. But yeah, as far as all this goes, the topic I forgot to say at the start, the apocalypse seems to be over. I'm back to making my normal money again. I haven't seen anyone else talk about it. I'm not sure if it's coming through the whole community or what's going on there. But I'm back to my normal money. Like, I'm doing okay. I'm back to what I should be making per video, per 1,000 views as of a few days ago. And I wanted to let it run a couple days in a row to see where it's at to make sure that everything was good before I say, hey, the YouTube apocalypse is over. So I don't know what happened. YouTube must have renegotiated whatever they were doing with all these people who pulled $750 million in ad revenue. You know, and they have hit different videos and stuff. They are cracking down harder, and people are like, well, your video is getting hit. No, I've only had, in the last 3 weeks, I've had one video unmonetized. And it wasn't on this channel because I don't do SARM videos. Like, I can't talk about SARMs. I'm going to be honest, guys ask me about SARMs. I can't even make a video saying SARMs are bad because if I do, they'll unmonetize it. I don't get paid for it. I can't do gear talk really on here anymore because it'll get unmonetized. So I'll have to do something like that on a Patreon, maybe. But yeah, the only video that I got that was unmonetized was about radical terrorism. And me being against it, but you can't actually make a video that says ISIS is bad. If you put ISIS is bad in the title of a video, I promise you YouTube will not monetize it. Under the new policies, they're going to unmonetize it. They don't allow you to discuss terrorism, even criticism of it, or a terrorist attack anywhere in the world. If you report that as a news story, YouTube unmonetizes it. That's been my experience so far. So that's what they're cracking down upon. They're cracking down on discussion of terrorism around the world. They're cracking down on discussion of drugs, even drugs in a negative manner. Seems to be any sort of really illegal drugs, they're going to crack down on it. Sometimes even research chemical videos, they're not letting you really talk about them. At least for me, maybe other people they are, but they're not for me. So that's the only stuff of mine that's been hit. But yeah, the apocalypse is over. I'm fine. Didn't have to open a donation page, didn't have to do anything like that. Everything is good. But again, it did kind of show me, you know what? Some of these people are right. I probably do need to diversify a little bit. And it was something Elgin and I used to talk about. A lot of people don't know this, but before Elgin got really mad at me and started making videos, Elgin and I used to be friends online. Elgin used to be on my private friends and family Facebook page. We used to talk about different stuff. He talked about diversifying. We talked about merchandising. We talked about maximizing online money because that's what Elgin does. Elgin's a lawyer, and he is on YouTube purely to make extra money and to make money off his merchandising, and it's what it's about to him. He doesn't care about it for any other reason, and that's okay. It's a business endeavor for him. And he entertains people, and people find him amusing, and he makes money for it. That is what it is. But yeah, he and I used to actually talk about this stuff quite a bit. In retrospect, he was probably right on certain recommendations he made to me for diversifying. And I will probably look at some of his recommendations just because at the end of the day, while being a pro YouTuber, it can be fun, it can be fulfilling, it can be something you really enjoy. You know, it's a fluctuating market, and you could boom or bust based upon it. You can't plan your future budget and stuff around something like that. And a lot of people learned that the hard way during this whole thing. They learned it the hard way, that if you assume that what you're making right now on YouTube is what you're still going to be making in 3 months, you could find yourself caught up in a lifestyle that you can't afford, and then you're starting to PayPal asking your followers for donations to help you out. You know, not the most flattering of situations to be in. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.